Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. I wish I had not been so harsh on my children. Several years ago, I was gathered in a restaurant with some old friends, and there was about 15 or 20 of us, and we were having breakfast, and all of these were successful people in their own rights. They'd been friends since university, and now they were consultant doctors and GPs and highly educated and, on the face of it, successful people. One of them had recently become a father for the first time, and he asked the others for some parenting advice. And these were people who their children now were in their late teens or early 20s. So they had been fathers for 20 years, and one of them, he's just become a father. So he's asked them for some advice. What happened over the next half hour, like one by one, everyone went round and they said something. I actually took out a pen, I borrowed a pen, and I took a piece of tissue and I began to make notes. It was so fascinating, the insights that everyone shared. But one prevalent theme that all of them, they said in different ways, I wish I had not been so harsh upon my children. I wish I'd picked my battles. I wish I hadn't forced the deen. I wish I hadn't forced Islam onto them. And this was a common theme amongst them, because now their kids were older, and now their kids either left the deen or they did not have that relationship or respect with their parents, or they turned back against that thing that their parents were pushing them to do. I've seen so many of these cases over the years. The parents are practicing Muslims, Hafid of Quran, or a scholar, or giving talks and dawah activists and known in the community, and yet their children have left the deen, or the daughters have taken off their hijab, or the sons, they don't make salah, and they've totally left. I mean, they believe, in some cases they've actually left Islam as well. In other cases they still believe in Allah, but they are not practicing at all. And when you speak to the parents, those who have insight and those who have humility and that are honest, they will say, it's because I was so harsh that I forced the deen upon my children. One father, he told me, he said, when my children were small, they would wake up for Fajr prayer, and I would go and inspect the floor of the bathroom, and if there were no drops there, I would go and I would force them back, that you have to go back and wash your feet because you haven't washed your feet. He said, now my kids don't make salah. So he said, in my eagerness for them to do everything properly, I didn't look at the big picture, that these are just kids. He's got up for Fajr. He's gone to the bathroom. He's attempted to make wudu while he's fast asleep, while this child is fast asleep. He said, I could have, he should have washed his feet. It didn't matter. As long as he was getting up, and then later I could have had a conversation with him in a nice way, not in the morning time when he's angry. But as a result of that, he had so much resentment that he stopped making salah. I wish I hadn't been so harsh on him. Another common one, they force the girls into wearing hijab. They force a 5-year-old girl to wear hijab. The mother's intention is good. I want her to get used to it. I want her to get used to it when she's young, so that she doesn't have a problem wearing it when she's older. I've seen this problem so many times. 5-year-old girl, 6-year-old, 7-year-old girl being forced by the parents to wear hijab. And when the girl becomes 15, guess what she does? She takes it off. I've seen this happen so many times. Parents, if the girl is 5 or 6 or 7, let her wear hijab sometimes when she goes to the masjid, and let her, just leave her free. Don't force her to do something, because then she will rebel against it. And I've seen that happen so many times. I've seen cases of parents forcing, or not even parents or elders or teachers, forcing the children with harshness, with beating, with shaming and blaming and criticism, in order to recite the Quran or to make salah or to fast on Mondays and Thursdays, which they don't even have to. And the children become adults and they leave all of that. They stop fasting even in Ramadan. They stop making salah. They stop reciting the Quran, because there are many adults that are alive today in the Muslim community who have trauma from the way the deen was presented to them. They associate Islam with some really traumatic memories. I mean, I have traumatic memories of going to the masjid as a 5-year-old and being beaten while we're there to gather the Quran. Many adults today, they have trauma from the way the deen was presented to them. I've seen people who left the deen because they were beaten as children when the Quran was taught to them. I've met young women who took off the hijab because when they were 5 or 6 years old, they would be shamed for not wearing hijab. The teachers would shame them, a 5-year-old girl. They'll be shamed, why didn't you wear hijab today? And guess what? Now she's in her 20s, she doesn't wear hijab. She took it off because of the way the deen was presented to her. These children left the deen as adults, not because they hate Allah, not because they hate Islam, but because they suffer trauma in the way the deen was presented to them. And because they associate Islam with harshness, criticism, blame, aggression, anger. These are the things that they associate Islam with at a deep subconscious level. And that's why they left Islam. Not because they hate Allah, not because they hate Islam. Where does this harshness in the deen, where does this harshness come from when presenting the deen to children or to others? It doesn't come from Allah. Definitely does not come from Allah. If you look in the Quran, if you read the Quran and you read the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala dealt with the mistakes that the prophets and others made, that harshness does not come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Does it come from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Can you imagine the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam sitting there with a big stick, with young children with innocent wide eyes, full of wonder and amazement and joy for the world, and he's sitting there with a stick, and the child makes one mistake and he hits the child with the stick? Can you imagine the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Can you imagine him doing that? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how was he with children? How was he with children who made mistakes? How he kissed them, how he played with them, how he let them ride on his back, even during salah, how he entered their world and how he made jokes with them and how he was light-hearted with them. This harshness that parents have towards children, whether or not it is in order to teach the deen, that is not from Islam. That's not from Quran. That's not from Hadith. And I challenge anyone, any person of knowledge, I don't care how much Quran you've memorized and how many Hadith you've memorized, I challenge you to tell me, to show me from the Sunnah where this harshness against children for the sake of the deen, where does it come from? I challenge you to tell me where it comes from. It doesn't come from the deen. It comes from culture. It comes because in Pakistan, you beat children in order to teach them in Quran. It comes because in South Africa, you blame and shame and criticize and you beat people into learning the deen. This is where it comes from. It comes from culture. It does not come from Islam. It does not come from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Where does this harshness come from? It comes from fear. Why are parents harsh on their children? Because they fear that the child will not succeed. I fear that my child will not make salah. I fear that my child will lose the deen. I fear that my child would not learn to recite the Quran. So they are harsh upon the children in order to teach them these things. They have fear that the child will fail or that the child will go astray. They have fear that the child will go to hell. But this fear leads them to be harsh, and that harshness is what drives them away. It's not something that brings them closer, it drives them away from Islam and from Allah. 3 short reflections I have today. The first one, if you have children, whether they are young or they are adults, be gentle with them, be kind with them, be soft with them, especially when it comes to the deen. Children learn about their relationship with Allah based upon their relationship with their parents. Then you have this concept of tough love. There's no such thing as tough love. There's tough and there's love. Tough love is just a fancy word for abuse of children. By tough love, they mean hitting, beating, swearing, criticizing, blaming, shaming. That's what they mean. That's not love. That's abuse. That is abuse. People scoff, they laugh. Gentle parenting. That's all that gentle parenting nonsense. That gentle parenting rubbish. People, they call that. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how was he with children? How did he teach the Sahaba to be with children? Was it the so-called tough love, the beating, swearing, hitting, shaming, criticizing? Was that how he brought up the children and the Sahaba? Or was it through softness and gentleness and kindness? As a result, that generation of Sahaba that was shown softness and kindness and gentleness, that generation went on to rule the world. And our generation that is on this tough love and being harsh and strict upon kids. Look at the state we're in now. So it's not working. And it's clearly what the Prophet ﷺ did. It worked. And what's sad is that this is so ingrained in people and in our community that people actually think that they deserved that abuse. They deserved that tough love. Yeah, my dad used to beat me with a belt when I was young. I deserved it. I was a bad kid. Yeah, my mum used to throw sandals at me. But you know what? I deserved it. I was a bad kid. And if it wasn't for that, then I wouldn't turn out the way that I am. Seriously? There's no such thing as a bad child. You weren't a bad child. You didn't deserve that. No child deserves to have a shoe thrown at it. No child deserves to be blamed or shamed. No child deserves to be hit with a stick or with a hand or with a belt. No child deserves that. And you didn't deserve it. You were a good child. Your parents did that to you because the same was done to them by their parents. And the same was done to them by their parents. By you acknowledging and admitting that that was wrong, that doesn't make you ungrateful to your parents. It just means that you have compassion to see the suffering that your parents went through in order to do that to you. People say, yeah, my dad used to beat me with a stick. I had tough love. I turned out okay. I run $1 million business. I've got a big house. I've got a big car. Is that how success is measured? Is that really how success is measured? Psychologists say if you want to measure what your life is really about, measure it by your health and measure it by your relationships. So you, Mr. or Mrs., I turned out okay. You turned out okay. You're 25. Why do you have type 2 diabetes? You're 29. Why do you have arthritis? Why do you have all of these autoimmune conditions and these health problems that come from trapped childhood trauma? Success is not having £1 million in the bank or a big house. That's not success. Success is not, oh, I didn't go to prison. I didn't become a drug addict. Okay, maybe you're an addict of something else. You're addicted to computer games. You're addicted to porn. You're addicted to, alcohol or drugs. You're addicted to shopping. And those addictions are to numb your pain from childhood. So you think I had tough love and I turned out okay? Ask your wife. Ask your husband. Ask your children. Ask your siblings. Ask your friends, people who know you well. Would they agree that you turned out okay as a result of that abuse that was subjected to you when you were young? The second reflection. In this, I would like to address the children who left the deen because their parents forced the deen upon them or their parents were harsh with them, especially when it came to the deen. You may say, I don't pray because I'm angry with Allah. Allah allowed my parents to do that to me. I'm angry with my parents. I hate Allah. I hate Islam. Do you think it's possible that it's not actually Allah that you hate? It's not Islam that you hate, but you hate what your parents did to you in the name of Islam or in the name of religion. Allah, how can you be angry with Allah? Man, how can you be angry with Allah? One of his names is Al-Wadud, the loving, the one who loves you, the one who gives you air to breathe and water to drink, who's given you eyes and ears and nose and a mouth, who gives you food to eat, and that food is of different tastes and textures and colors and varieties, who's given you so many things, so many blessings. How can you be angry at him? How can you hate him? So is it possible that the reason you're not praying or your reason you're not making salah or the reason you left Islam, not because you're angry with Allah, is it possible that you're angry with your parents? But deep down you really love Allah. Is that possible? Okay, then why did my parents do that to me? Most parents love their children. Most parents. They just don't know how to show that love. And in your parents' case, they loved you and they were so afraid of you being a bad Muslim or you leaving the deen or of you failing that they made a mistake in the way they forced Islam upon you. And they force you to do these things. They force you to read the Quran. Or they force you as a 5-year-old girl to wear the hijab because they were afraid that you would stop wearing it as an adult. And you today, okay, you forced me to wear it. Hey, I've taken my hijab off. What are you going to do about it now? Your parents, is it possible that so badly they wanted you to succeed and to be a good Muslim that fear, it drove them to harshness? And that's why they were harsh with you. And the third reflection, if your children are now adults and they have left the deen or they have left Islam or they have broken away contact from you, There is always a way to heal and fix relationships. But that requires some honesty and humility from your part. That requires you to go to your child and to give them an unqualified apology and apologize to them about the way that you were with them and the way that you presented the deen to them. And it requires courage. Humility requires honesty, and it requires courage. Everything can be fixed. Relationships can be fixed. One of the most magical ways to fix a relationship, any relationship, is through a genuine apology. By genuine apology, I'm sorry you felt upset. That's not a genuine apology. I'm sorry if you feel that way. That's not a genuine apology. A genuine apology, I am sorry I behaved like this. My behavior was unacceptable. The words I said were wrong and unacceptable. I am sorry, please forgive me. That's what I mean by an unqualified apology. Giving that to your adult children can heal relationships. Dr. Gabor Mate, he is a well-known Hungarian-Canadian GP, a doctor. He's very well known on social media. Some of his content is very good. And he's also anti-genocide and pro-Gaza. A lot of his material, he talks about healing. He's got this project called the Hello Again project, and he's working on a book, but there's a lot of resources there and on YouTube where he has discussions with his son, with his adult son, Aaron Mate, and both of them, they discuss about their relationship and how they fixed a broken relationship. They fixed it, the father and son, or the parent and child relationship, they fixed it as adults. There's a lot of resources and a lot of work that he's done on this basis. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us to be soft and gentle with our children. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide back to Islam those of us whose children have left the deen. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those of us whose relationships have broken with our children, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala heal those relationships, bring them close together. Before I end, I have one request to make of you. My mother died a few weeks ago. She was a teacher. She taught many children in her small house. My family is building a school in Pakistan with the Reed Foundation in the name of my mother, which will educate hundreds of poor school children who otherwise will not be able to go to school. The cost of this project is £200,000. Neither I nor my family will see or handle a penny of these donations. They will go directly to the Reed Foundation. There is a link in the description below. If you benefited from, or if you are affected by anything in this video, my humble request to you today, please leave a donation of £10 for my mum's school and ask 2 other people to do the same. Till the next video, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.